I've been hearing about it for years, but I just never did have any, Amarillo's 90 miles from here.
Jim called me and wanted to know if I'd be interested in going.
Ms. Henderson tried to get me to go last year, and I turned her down. And I kept telling her that there's more guys deserved it, better than me.
Thank you very much.
Look to your left and right. If you don't know the person next to you, introduce yourself, because you're going to get to know everybody.
Little do these guys know about the reception they're fixing to receive. When they walk off the airplane, there's another huge crowd of people waving flags and saying thank you.
I couldn't believe, when we got to Maryland that day, those people were there and the band playing and school kids that just, was pretty impressive.
When I got back to Amarillo, that's where I originally lived from, they brought me in on the plane. I got off in the airport there, and I went in the building. There was no one there. I felt, kind of, well, this is weird, After what we've been through, we come back and there's nothing, This freedom flight made up for it big time.
It reminded me of the reception we got when we came back from Europe on the Queen Mary. Went up the river to harbor, New York City, and they had all these tugboats and fireboats, those fireboats shooting water, and the whole country's full of people, all cheering us on, and it was a wonderful time.
Sadly, the World War II Memorial was the last war memorial built to honor our military heroes, and it was built 65 years, in my mind, late.
If you're in a white shirt, formation on your left here.
One of the highlights of the trip for me was that World War II Memorial.
All right, make sure you're in line with the man in front of you.
They have these pillars, 57, I believe, pillars honoring each state in our different satellite countries, and it has the Atlantic side representing the Atlantic campaign or the Atlantic theater, and then it has the Pacific side, Pacific theater, and
they took us all down there and lined us all up, and then and split us up between Atlantic theater and Pacific theater. Us guys from the Atlantic theater, we marched around there and laid our wreath, and come back and watch the Pacific guys go to theirs and do theirs. To me, that was very, very impressive.
We will form these guys up, as you know, and march them in with a bagpiper and a bugler, and our wreath presentation is just phenomenal. And again, it's about honoring these guys for what they did for us, and then to see the Gold Star Wall, which represents 400,000 casualties. And a lot of these men, they know who those Gold Stars represent. They were friends and buddies and shipmates.
I never once dreamed that all this would ever take place. An old poor dirt farmer, that never been out of Wheeler County in his life. To me, it showed that when they built it, or like all that other stuff over there even back from the Civil War, of the heroes and the different guys that done different things, and the effort that the American people will put out to save the country.
What a very emotional stop it was at the World War II Memorial, and it's about the honor that they deserved a long time ago, and we're just proud to be a part of that and be able to do that here in our community.
People your age, about your age, and maybe a little younger are just now realizing that there was a World War II. I never talked about the war to my kids. I don't think our kids during their growing up time didn't know that there was. I don't believe they knew what war was. And now you might be walking through Walmart's and somebody will see you with an old GI cap on, and they'll stick their hand out and say, "Thank you for your service." And it makes you feel good to know that they are now realizing what a effort a war can be, and the things that the people do to save their country.
Hi, I'm Chris Stone. In addition to being the general manager at Bell Helicopter, I'm also a veteran. I served 7 years in Army Aviation as a captain. I'd like to thank all of our employees who have served in the armed forces and all the men and women who are currently serving.
At Bell Helicopter, we're proud of our veterans.
Hi, I'm Jeff Fain, Director of Flight Operations here at Bell. I served in the United States Air Force for 6 years as Staff Sergeant.
Hi, my name is Tim Mao. I'm the lead H-1 production test pilot at Bell. I served 11 years in the Marine Corps as a Cobra pilot, and I got out as a major.
I'm Donald Corbin, a production specialist, Bell Helicopter Rotor and Engine Shop, U.S. Army Warrant Officer, 5 years.
We are proud to be a part of the America Supports You Texas Honor Flight in the Panhandle spirit. At Bell Helicopter, we're proud of our veterans.
Hi, I'm Randy Purcell, Civil Inspector here at Bell Helicopter. I spent 20 years in the United States Army, Staff Sergeant.
Hi, I'm Garrett Allen. I work on the H-1 Final Assembly here at Bell Helicopter. In the U.S. Army for 8 years as a specialist.
Hi, my name is David Buttle, Procurement Specialist, Bell Helicopter, Amarillo, United States Army, 11 years, Staff Sergeant, 1979 to 1990.
We are proud to be a part of the America Supports You Texas Honor Flight in the Panhandle spirit. America Supports You Texas 2012 Panhandle Honor Flight is being brought to you by Bell Helicopter. We are proud of all of our employees and want to say a special thank you to the veterans who have sacrificed for our country.
Wow, what a battle. Lots of history there. The flag raising, as we all know. It's a very emotional stop for our Marines because they are a brotherhood. And of course the Navy guys, they were offshore sending the Marines in and bombarding the island, but the Marines, wow, they had a tough job. Again, one of the bloodiest battles. And just the camaraderie that the Marine Corps stands for today and that they have today, lots of emotion.
Left, left. Mark time, march.
It's very graphic, it's very moving. Initially when you see the photograph or you hear the story, it's symbolic in what it meant to the troops on the island at that time. I've spoken with 2 or 3 veterans that were actually there. Their sons were amazed because they never spoke about it until that day that we went, and they're 80 years old, never told their family about it, never shared any experiences with them.
First squad, attach.
It's amazing that people actually survived that battle.
Wreath detail. Forward, march. Present, march.
I think any veteran should, if he gets the opportunity, he ought to take that flight. I think he would come home with a different feeling after seeing all that. It made me change some thoughts and things.
Today we pause to reflect and honor and remember those United States Navy sailors, shipmates who served and who are no longer with us by presenting a wreath in their honor.
The Navy Memorial is it's a very historically combined memorial. The soldier, the lone soldier with his sea bag, going to sea, coming back from sea, pea coat on, collar turned up. Very symbolic of a lone sailor.
Statue of the lone sailor represents all the men and women who served in the United States Navy, and you know, I come from a Navy family. And you know, I'm just proud to say I served in the United States Navy for 24 years, as my brother did, as my dad did, and right now as my daughter is doing. So very, very special. Of course, it's in my blood.
Again, the sailors laying the wreath at that location, the tolling of the bell.
Present arms.
Brings a type of closure for their duty at sea. The one thing that I was very impressed of is even its location is basically in the middle of downtown Washington, D.C. And when you're there, you can hear the rush of the falling water that's in the memorial. And if you close your eyes, you're out there to see, listening to the water rush by.
People were kind and a lot better to you than you'd think. A place like Washington, I couldn't believe the buildings, miles and miles of humongous buildings.
That night we went to the Air Force Memorial. And you know, that's our tour stop at night, simply because of the majestic view that you have from that point across Washington.
Across the street from the Pentagon, on the edge of Arlington Cemetery, 3 spires that rise up to the sky, showing the starburst of a demonstration team going up. Very open in its presentation, and the airmen that are there, a lot of them started out in the Army Air Corps and then were transferred across to the Air Force. It's strength and simplicity together at the same time, because of the way that it's laid out. Because it kind of reaches into the sky, and when you see it at night, it's almost never ending. Each of the 3 spires shows a trail, and it's almost a never-ending trail.
We are proud to be a part of the America Supports You Texas Honor Flight in the Panhandle spirit. At Bell Helicopter, we're proud of our veterans.
Hi, I'm Brett Wellbrenner, Bell Helicopter Amarillo. I'm a Cobra assembler mechanic. I was in the United States Air Force for 6 years as a staff sergeant.
Hi, I'm Larry Case. I'm a Bell production test pilot for the V-22 Osprey. I served in the U.S. Army 1971 to 1996, CW4 retired.
I'm John Albert Lopez, V-22 lead flight mechanic. Served with the U.S. Navy for 5 years as a petty officer second class.
We are proud to be a part of the America Supports You Texas Honor Flight in the Panhandle spirit. At Bell Helicopter, we're proud of our veterans.
I'm Paul Allen. I'm a final assembly mechanic here at Bell, and I was in the U.S. Army, served 6.5 years as a sergeant.
Hi, my name is Michelle Lindstrom. I'm an electrical assembler at Bell Helicopter. I was a staff sergeant in the Air Force from 1997 to 2006.
My name is Scott Allen. I'm the manager for V-22 Assembly and Hub and Blade. I was in the United States Navy for 23 years, and I retired as a commander.
We are proud to be a part of the America Supports You Texas Honor Flight in the Panhandle spirit. America Supports You Texas 2012 Panhandle Honor Flight is being brought to you by Bell Helicopter. We are proud of all of our employees and want to say a special thank you to the veterans who have sacrificed for our country.
That's one thing about this trip. I tried to picture everybody that was on this trip the way they would have been in their war. Sitting just like me, 17, 18 years old. I'd almost be willing to bet you that 90% of them old men from World War II and Korea, and everything, I bet they were 17 and 18 years old. And to this day, I still picture them at that age, what they did, and what they went through at that age, And my dad, he didn't get a chance to ever go to the World War II memorial when they started building it, because he died about 10 years ago, and everything. And that was, I wish he would have got a chance to see that. But he was in World War II and Korea both. And then I went to Vietnam. And then my brother went, and then I went back, and then my son, he's been in Afghanistan already. But when you're that young, people don't realize, I don't think a lot of when they see these veterans, the amount of sacrifice that they went through at 17, 18, 19 years old and during World War II and Korea and Vietnam, the sacrifices, because those guys and myself, we included, we gave them 20 years of the youngest years of our life. Or 4 or 8 years, or however long they served. You can do a lot of things when you're young.
I think it makes me feel more appreciated. There wasn't a lot of appreciation for veterans, more so for Korea than Vietnam. It was a travesty the way those veterans were treated. And it's certainly time that they got some recognition and some appreciation for the service that they did. It was a thankless war, and probably should never have been fought, but they answered the call of duty, and they went and served.
Korea, it was not a declared war. It was a conflict, police action, if you will.
These soldiers that went to Korea, some of them were already veterans from World War II, but a large portion of them volunteered because their older brothers, their uncles, their fathers had been in World War II, and they responded to the country's call to arms. And as it's called a police action, it was never a full-fledged war, even though you can't take a phrase when bullets are flying at you and say that no, this is a war and this is a conflict and this is a police action. It's still combat, and you're still fighting against an enemy. And the soldiers that were there, somehow in some conversations when the country didn't agree with the politics of the war, believed that they were forgotten because it was in a faraway location and sometimes there wasn't that much coverage of it, and they were not recognized for their duties and their actions in that particular location.
We like to stop there in the evening, get some of the dusk shadows through those trees, and to see that polished granite, and people can come up and you can see yourself in that polished stone.
It's a platoon of soldiers. They're in kind of an aluminized metal. They're all wearing ponchos and helmets. The bad weather in Korea, basically a lot of the time they were in ponchos. That was the uniform, standard uniform of the day. It's a squad. There are, say 19 in the squad, and there is a reflecting granite wall so that it would reflect another 19 soldiers, making the number 38, so that the war ended on the 38th parallel.
58,000 people stepped up and made that sacrifice for our country. And that's to honor them and all of those that served in Korea. And if you'll note, and you probably saw this, There is a marker there that says freedom is not free, and it's very touching when we march those guys into the plaza there and do that very special wreath presentation.
We are proud to be a part of the America Supports You Texas Honor Flight in the Panhandle spirit. At Bell Helicopter, we're proud of our veterans.
Hi, I'm Brendan Fussell. I work as a assembler mechanic on the V-22. I served 4 years in the United States Navy as a second-class petty officer.
My name's Roger Tedder. I'm a V-22 assembler mechanic. I was in the Army from 2000 to 2005, and I was a specialist.
I'm Bob Trevino. I'm the site security manager. I was in the Air Force for 25 years, retired as Lieutenant Colonel.
We are proud to be a part of the America Supports You Texas Honor Flight in the Panhandle spirit. At Bell Helicopter, we're proud of our veterans.
I'm David Balser. I'm a Senior Quality Administrator here. Served in the Navy for 7 years, got out as a lieutenant.
I'm Bill Murray, a cost schedule analyst on H-1. I was in the Army from 1973 to 1977, reaching the rank of captain.
My name is Don Servosky. I'm a manager in procurement at Bell Helicopter. I was a captain in the United States Army, and I served from 1984 to 1995.
We are proud to be a part of the America Supports You Texas Honor Flight in the Panhandle spirit. America Supports You Texas 2012 Panhandle Honor Flight is being brought to you by Bell Helicopter. We are proud of all of our employees and want to say a special thank you to the veterans who have sacrificed for our country.
It was pretty bad, and I got rocks thrown at me and stuff like that, and it was called baby killer and everything else. They'd spit on you. Matter of fact, when we came back from Vietnam, even after the second time we came back from Vietnam, but you didn't dare wear your uniform. Never. You went on liberty or you went off the base or whatever, you changed into civilian clothes before you got, so that people wouldn't know for sure that you were in the military, because you were just treated that bad. I mean, Chicago, I got rocks thrown at me every day when I'd walk home, from the base up to my house and up in Waukegan and everything.
I don't know, maybe it's a personal thing, but I knew people on that wall. And in fact, I know people that they don't even know where they're at today. And something about just being there and touching the wall and stuff, it kind of helps make up for some stuff.
That's such a black part of the history of the United States. That war was an ugly war, and it was ugly here in the United States too, because people didn't agree. And the sad part is they took it out on our veterans, the kids that were coming home, because I remember I was drafted during Vietnam, but I joined the Navy, but that was my generation that fought in that war. And I remember watching TV and seeing these protests all over the country, especially on the West Coast, and it was sad. These men were either drafted or they joined to go serve our country, and they came home and were chastised. So their memorial was built in their honor, and they're still adding names to that memorial.
There are no additional heroes recognized in the wall. It's a very simple memorial.
We take a cross-section of veterans, including the Vietnam era, and we do our formation again and march in, and it's very humbling. We not only do a wreath presentation at the Tomb of the Unknown in Arlington, all the memorials, but the Vietnam Wall is so special because we give each member of the team a flag with a tape of one of our fallen heroes from the Texas Panhandle. And
I liked the part to where we took the paper and scribed the names off. Everybody got a flag with a number, and we'd go search that out and mark it off on that piece of paper. Then they'd take the piece of paper and they're going to send it back to those individuals' family and show them where someone had visited that specific grave. And I thought that was a cool thing to do.
And it's just an opportunity for us to pause and remember. That's the theme of the honor flight, is simply to honor and remember.
The Vietnam Wall is it's a very solemn place, but it is also a place of release for a lot of the veterans that were there. They have it's a little bit of closure, but it's nice to see that it is a respectful place.
Oh, it makes me feel real good. Matter of fact, I wear my uniform now on Veterans Day and into parades. I've worn my uniform into parades and things, you know, and special occasions, because being retired, I can wear my uniform anytime I want to, you know. And I don't mind putting it on, you know, anymore. As a matter of fact, makes me feel a lot prouder